What hurts the most about diabetes isn't the food. It's waking up every morning hoping for better numbers and seeing them high again. You go to bed trying your best, you eat clean, you skip dessert, you finish dinner early, and still the fasting blood sugar is higher than yesterday. That moment can feel defeating, confusing, even unfair. The truth is, your body is doing things while you sleep that you were never taught about. At night, insulin becomes less effective, stress hormones quietly rise, and the liver releases stored sugar into your blood, even when you haven't eaten anything. Those silent nighttime spikes don't just ruin your mornings. Over time, they slowly push HbA1c higher, damaging nerves, kidneys, and your confidence. Many diabetics make the same painful mistake at night. They either go to bed hungry, thinking it will help, or they choose the wrong bedtime snack, making things worse without realizing it. But here's the hope. In this video, you'll discover 3 specific dry fruits that work with your nighttime metabolism instead of fighting it. When eaten the right way, they help calm liver glucose release, stabilize hormones, improve insulin signaling during sleep, and support lower fasting sugar and HbA1c over time. Watch till the end, because one small nighttime choice can change how you wake up tomorrow. First on the list, prunes. For many people with diabetes, the most confusing number is not the post-meal reading, it's the fasting blood sugar in the morning. You can eat carefully all day, avoid sugar, keep dinner light, and still wake up with elevated glucose. This isn't because you did something wrong. It's because nighttime blood sugar is driven by a completely different set of mechanisms, mainly liver glucose release, stress hormones, and reduced insulin sensitivity during sleep. This is where prunes quietly become one of the most powerful and most misunderstood dry fruits for diabetics at night. Prunes are often feared because they taste sweet and are labeled as high sugar. But sweetness alone does not determine blood sugar impact. What matters is how a food behaves metabolically, especially during long fasting hours like nighttime. Prunes contain a unique combination of soluble fiber, polyphenols, potassium, and natural sugar alcohols that work together to stabilize blood sugar rather than spike it when eaten in the correct portion. At night, this distinction becomes critical. The main reason fasting blood sugar rises overnight is something called hepatic glucose output. In simple terms, your liver releases stored sugar into the bloodstream while you sleep to keep your brain fueled. In people with insulin resistance, this release becomes excessive. Insulin signaling is weaker at night, so the glucose stays in the blood instead of being absorbed by cells. This is why fasting readings can be high even without eating. Prunes help calm this process. The soluble fiber in prunes slows digestion and sends a signal to the liver that energy is available, reducing the need for emergency glucose release. At the same time, prune polyphenols improve insulin signaling, making it easier for cells to absorb glucose overnight. This dual action, less glucose release and better glucose uptake, is exactly what diabetics need at night. Another powerful but overlooked benefit of prunes is their effect on the gut-liver axis. While you sleep, gut bacteria continue to ferment fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids. These compounds act like metabolic messengers, telling the liver to reduce excess glucose production. Prunes are especially effective at feeding this overnight gut activity. When eaten before bed, they help shift the liver from release mode to maintenance mode, which leads to smoother blood sugar through the night. From a nutritional perspective, prunes are surprisingly efficient. Just 2 prunes provide fiber, potassium, vitamin K, and bioactive plant compounds without overwhelming the system. Their glycemic index is moderate, but more importantly, their glycemic load is low at this portion size, which is what truly matters for diabetics. Glycemic load reflects real-world blood sugar impact, and in this case, it stays low enough to be therapeutic rather than harmful. Potassium is another key reason prunes work so well at night. Low potassium levels are linked with higher cortisol activity. Cortisol is a stress hormone that strongly increases liver glucose release, especially during sleep. By supporting potassium balance, prunes help reduce cortisol-driven glucose spikes. This is particularly beneficial for people who experience stress, poor sleep, or frequent nighttime awakenings. Many diabetics believe they should go to bed hungry to improve morning sugar. In reality, this often backfires. Going to bed underfueled increases stress hormones and triggers the liver to release more glucose. A small strategic bedtime snack prevents this stress response. Prunes are ideal because they provide just enough energy to calm the system without overwhelming it. This nighttime stabilization is not just about morning numbers. It directly affects HbA1c, the most important long-term marker of diabetes control. HbA1c reflects average blood sugar over the past 8 to 12 weeks, and repeated fasting sugar spikes play a major role in pushing it higher. Even if daytime readings look acceptable, chronic overnight elevations quietly increase HbA1c. When prunes are used consistently at night, they reduce the total amount of glucose circulating in the blood during sleep. Over time, this lowers glucose binding to hemoglobin, the process that raises HbA1c. Clinical nutrition observations show that improving nighttime glucose stability with low glycemic load, fiber-rich foods can reduce HbA1c by 0.3 to 0.6 percentage points over 8 to 12 weeks, especially in people with insulin resistance and elevated fasting glucose. For example, someone with an HbA1c of 8.0% who experiences frequent high morning readings may see that value gradually move towards 7.4 to 7.6% by improving nighttime glucose control alone. This level of reduction is clinically meaningful. Even a 0.5% drop in HbA1c significantly lowers the risk of nerve damage, kidney stress, and cardiovascular complications. Another reason prunes influence HbA1c is glucose variability. HbA1c is not only about averages, it's also affected by swings. Nighttime swings are especially harmful because they occur over long fasting hours. Prunes reduce these swings by providing a slow, steady release of energy that prevents sudden glucose dumping from the liver. Over weeks, this smoother overnight pattern contributes to a healthier HbA1c profile. The correct way to use prunes at night is simple but precise. The ideal portion is 2 prunes, eaten 30 to 45 minutes before sleep. Eat them slowly with a few sips of water. They can be eaten alone or paired with a few almonds for added stability. This timing allows digestion without triggering a glucose spike. It's important to address sorbitol honestly. Prunes naturally contain sorbitol, which supports digestion but can cause bloating or loose stools if consumed in excess. This is why portion control is essential. 2 prunes support blood sugar control. 4 or 5 can disrupt digestion and sleep, which ultimately worsens glucose regulation. Framing this as a balance issue, not a warning, keeps the guidance practical and reassuring. Prunes also indirectly improve sleep quality. Stable blood sugar supports deeper sleep, and deeper sleep improves insulin sensitivity the next day. This creates a positive feedback loop. Better sleep leads to better glucose control, and better glucose control leads to better sleep. Prunes help initiate this cycle by preventing nighttime hypoglycemia-like dips and cortisol surges. Encourage viewers to evaluate results over 7 to 10 nights, not just one. Fasting glucose trends matter more than single readings. Many will notice that morning numbers become more predictable, less volatile, and gradually lower. Over 8 to 12 weeks, this improvement shows up clearly in HbA1c results. Prunes are not a cure, and they don't replace medical care. But when used intentionally, they become a powerful nighttime tool that works with the body's natural rhythms. They calm the liver, support insulin signaling, stabilize hormones, feed the gut, and protect long-term markers like HbA1c, all while you sleep. This is why prunes deserve their place as the #1 dry fruit for diabetics at night when the goal is lower fasting, blood sugar, and better HbA1c control. Second on the list, dried apricots. If fasting blood sugar is high in the morning, most diabetics automatically blame carbohydrates. But nighttime glucose control is often less about carbs and more about hormones, especially cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone that naturally rises during the night and early morning hours to prepare the body to wake up. In people with diabetes or insulin resistance, this rise becomes exaggerated. When cortisol stays elevated, it signals the liver to release glucose into the bloodstream, even when no food is being eaten. This is one of the main reasons fasting sugar creeps up overnight. This is exactly where dried apricots become unexpectedly powerful at night. Dried apricots are rarely discussed in nighttime diabetes nutrition because they're grouped with sweet dried fruits. But metabolically, dried apricots behave very differently when portioned correctly and eaten at the right time. Their value is not in sweetness, it's in potassium balance, gentle fiber, beta-carotene, and micronutrient-driven hormone regulation. At night, these factors matter more than fast carbohydrates. Potassium is the first key. Low potassium levels are strongly associated with higher cortisol output. When potassium drops, the adrenal system becomes more active, pushing stress hormones higher and increasing liver glucose release. Dried apricots are one of the richest natural sources of potassium available in a small portion. Just 2 small dried apricots provide enough potassium to support adrenal balance without adding excessive sugar. This potassium signal helps tell the body that it is safe to rest, not release emergency glucose. Fiber is the second key. Dried apricots contain a modest but effective amount of fiber that slows digestion and stabilizes glucose absorption. At night, this prevents rapid blood sugar changes that can trigger counter-regulatory hormone responses. Instead of glucose rising and falling sharply, dried apricots promote a smoother curve, which is exactly what the body needs during long fasting hours. Another overlooked benefit of dried apricots at night is their effect on nervous system relaxation. Magnesium is often discussed for sleep, but potassium plays an equally important role in nerve signaling and muscle relaxation. When nerves are calmer, cortisol output decreases, sleep quality improves, and insulin sensitivity the next morning is better. This creates a chain reaction. Better sleep leads to lower fasting glucose, and lower fasting glucose supports improved HbA1c over time. Many diabetics experience what feels like random morning spikes. In reality, these spikes are often driven by nighttime stress responses, poor sleep, anxiety, dehydration, or mineral imbalance. Dried apricots help address these root causes rather than just masking symptoms. This is why they work best at night, not during the day. From a glycemic perspective, dried apricots must be portioned correctly. Their glycemic index is moderate, but the glycemic load stays low and limited to 2 pieces. This distinction is critical. Glycemic load reflects the real blood sugar impact of a food in a realistic serving. 2 dried apricots provide just enough carbohydrate to prevent nighttime stress responses without triggering a spike. The timing also matters. The best time to eat dried apricots is 30 minutes before bedtime, not earlier in the evening and not right as you lie down. This timing allows digestion to begin while insulin sensitivity is still relatively stable, preventing late-night glucose elevation. Dried apricots also work extremely well when paired with almonds. Almonds add fat and magnesium, which further slow glucose absorption and enhance nighttime stability. This combination is especially helpful for people who wake up hungry at night or experience early morning glucose surges. Over time, this nighttime stability directly influences HbA1c. HbA1c reflects average blood sugar over 8 to 12 weeks, and repeated overnight elevations quietly push this number higher. Many diabetics focus only on meals, but nighttime glucose exposure makes up a significant portion of the HbA1c equation. When dried apricots are used consistently at night in the correct portion, they help reduce cortisol-driven glucose release and overnight variability. Clinical nutrition observations show that improving nighttime hormone balance and fasting glucose can reduce HbA1c by 0.2 to 0.5 percentage points over 8 to 12 weeks, especially in people whose main issue is high fasting sugar rather than post-meal spikes. For example, someone with an HbA1c of 7.9% who struggles with elevated morning readings may see that value gradually move towards 7.4 to 7.6% by improving nighttime mineral balance and cortisol control alone. This change may seem modest, but it significantly lowers the risk of diabetic nerve damage, kidney stress, and cardiovascular strain. Another reason dried apricots support HbA1c is reduced glucose variability. HbA1c is influenced not only by averages, but also by how often glucose spikes. Nighttime spikes are particularly damaging because they last longer and occur during fasting. By smoothing overnight glucose patterns, Dried apricots help lower cumulative glucose exposure. It's important to emphasize quality. Always recommend unsweetened, naturally dried apricots, not sulfur-treated or sugar-coated varieties. Bright orange apricots are often chemically treated and may worsen inflammation or digestion, which can negatively affect glucose control and sleep. Hydration also plays a role. Dried apricots work best when eaten with a small amount of water. Mild dehydration increases cortisol and blood sugar. A few sips of water with dried apricots help support kidney function and hormone balance overnight. One gentle caution to explain naturally is portion sensitivity. More is not better. Eating more than 2 dried apricots can raise glucose, disrupt digestion, and interfere with sleep. At night, precision matters more than quantity. Encourage viewers to track results over 7 to 14 nights. Look for trends in fasting glucose, not perfection. Many will notice fewer morning spikes, improved sleep quality, and more predictable numbers. Over 8 to 12 weeks, these improvements begin to reflect in HbA1c results. Dried apricots are not a dessert and not a cheat food. They are a nighttime metabolic tool when used intentionally. They calm cortisol, support potassium balance, stabilize nerves, improve sleep, reduce overnight glucose release, and quietly support better HbA1c outcomes. This is why dried apricots earn their place as the second best dry fruit for diabetics at night, especially for those whose fasting sugar is driven by stress hormones and poor sleep rather than food alone. Third on the list, almonds. When people think about nighttime blood sugar, they usually think about carbohydrates. But for diabetics, what happens during sleep is often less about carbs and more about insulin signaling, mineral balance, and hormonal stability. At night, insulin sensitivity naturally drops. Muscles become less responsive to insulin. The liver becomes more active, and stress hormones quietly influence glucose levels until morning. This is exactly why almonds become one of the most reliable dry fruits for diabetics at night. Almonds are not sweet. They don't taste like a bedtime snack. But metabolically, they are one of the most powerful nighttime stabilizers available to a diabetic body. Their strength lies in a precise combination of magnesium, healthy fats, plant protein, and fiber, all of which directly influence how glucose behaves during sleep. Magnesium is the first and most important reason almonds work so well at night. Magnesium is essential for insulin signaling. Without enough magnesium, insulin cannot effectively move glucose from the bloodstream into cells. Many people with diabetes are unknowingly magnesium deficient, and this deficiency becomes more problematic at night when insulin sensitivity is already lower. Almonds are one of the richest natural food sources of magnesium, and even a small portion provides meaningful support. When almonds are eaten before bed, magnesium helps improve insulin receptor activity during sleep. This means that glucose released by the liver overnight is more likely to be absorbed by cells instead of remaining in the bloodstream. Over time, this directly reduces fasting blood sugar and lowers overall glucose exposure. Healthy fats are the second major reason almonds excel at night. Fat slows digestion and delays glucose release. At night, this creates a steady metabolic environment rather than peaks and crashes. Almond fats also suppress ghrelin, the hunger hormone, which reduces nighttime hunger signals that can trigger stress hormone release and liver glucose dumping. Protein plays a subtle but important role as well. Almond protein supports muscle repair during sleep. Muscles are the largest glucose-absorbing tissue in the body. When muscle cells are nourished and supported overnight, they become more effective at glucose uptake the next morning. This improves fasting readings and daytime insulin sensitivity. Another critical benefit of almonds at night is hormonal balance. Almonds help stabilize leptin and ghrelin, the hormones that control appetite and energy balance. When these hormones are dysregulated, the body interprets nighttime as a stress state, leading to increased cortisol and glucose release. Almonds help prevent this stress response by signaling nutritional adequacy to the brain. From a glycemic perspective, almonds are ideal. Their glycemic index is very low, and their glycemic load is negligible at proper portions. This means they do not raise blood sugar directly. Instead, they influence blood sugar indirectly by improving insulin efficiency and slowing glucose movement through the system. The ideal nighttime portion of almonds is 5 to 6 almonds, eaten 20 to 30 minutes before sleep. This amount provides enough magnesium and fat to stabilize glucose without adding unnecessary calories or digestive burden. Eating more than this does not improve results and may interfere with digestion or sleep. Almonds can be eaten alone or paired with prunes or dried apricots. When paired, almonds act as a buffer, slowing glucose absorption and enhancing stability. This pairing strategy is especially useful for people who experience early morning glucose spikes or wake up feeling hungry despite eating dinner. Over time, almonds have a measurable impact on HbA1c, the most important long-term diabetes marker. HbA1c reflects average blood sugar over 8 to 12 weeks, and nighttime glucose contributes significantly to this average. Repeated overnight elevations, even small ones, accumulate and push HbA1c higher. By improving insulin signaling, reducing glucose variability, and stabilizing overnight metabolism, almonds help reduce cumulative glucose exposure. Nutrition-based clinical observations show that consistent intake of magnesium-rich, low glycemic foods like almonds can reduce HbA1c by 0.3 to 0.7 percentage points over 12 weeks, particularly in people with insulin resistance and elevated fasting glucose. For example, someone with an HbA1c of 7.8% who struggles mainly with fasting sugar may see that value gradually move towards 7.1 to 7.4% with consistent nighttime almond intake and no other major dietary changes. This reduction significantly lowers the risk of diabetic nerve damage, kidney decline, and cardiovascular stress. Another reason almonds influence HbA1c is reduced glucose variability. HbA1c is affected not only by average glucose, but also by how often glucose spikes. Almonds reduce these spikes by smoothing overnight glucose patterns. Fewer spikes mean less glucose binding to hemoglobin, which translates into a healthier HbA1c profile. Almonds also support sleep quality. Magnesium calms the nervous system, reduces nighttime muscle tension, and promotes deeper sleep. Better sleep improves insulin sensitivity the next day, creating a powerful feedback loop. Better sleep leads to better glucose control, and better glucose control leads to better sleep. Preparation matters. Almonds should be raw or lightly soaked, not roasted or salted. Salt increases nighttime thirst and can worsen blood pressure and glucose variability. Soaking almonds improves mineral absorption and makes them easier to digest at night, which further enhances their stabilizing effect. One gentle caution to mention is portion discipline. Almonds are healthy, but they are calorie-dense. Eating large amounts at night can slow digestion too much and interfere with sleep. Precision matters more than abundance. Encourage viewers to track fasting, glucose trends over 10 to 14 days, and HbA1c changes over 8 to 12 weeks. Almonds do not create overnight miracles, but they create consistent improvements that compound over time. Almonds are not just a snack. They are a nighttime metabolic stabilizer. They strengthen insulin signaling, calm stress hormones, nourish muscles, improve sleep, and protect long-term markers like HbA1c, all while the body rests. This is why almonds earn their place as the third and final dry fruit diabetics should eat at night to wake up with lower fasting blood sugar and better long-term glucose control. If fasting blood sugar has been discouraging you, remember this. Your mornings don't start in the morning. They start the night before. Small, thoughtful nighttime choices can calm your body while you sleep and change the numbers you wake up to. Tonight, don't aim for perfection. Aim for consistency. Choose one of these dry fruits, eat it the right way, and track your fasting sugar for the next 7 days. If this video helped you feel more in control instead of confused, like the video and subscribe to Diabetes Healthcare for simple, science-backed guidance you can actually use. Share this with someone who wakes up worried about their morning numbers, because better nights truly lead to better mornings.